Hi, it's Michael. Today's talk is about aloneness is a great blessing. Let's go through a fun, quick exercise. Imagine yourself being completely alone. For example, your friends left you, your spouse left you, your kids left you, your dog left you, no social chit-chat groups, just you alone. How would you feel? Would you feel completely comfortable? Would you still feel happy and full of joy of life? Or would you feel disappointed, dejected, resentful, angry? Name those emotions. Would you be in that state? So if you would feel perfectly happy and perfectly content, all the power to you. The blessings are yours. That shows good maturity. If you would be immersed in emotions, obviously quite low emotions, like loneliness, abandonment, anger, resentment, shame, guilt, whatever you name it, then that shows that a lot of spiritual work still needs to be done. It shows a great deal of immaturity. Now, there is no need to get defensive or angry about it. Everybody goes at one time or another through this stage. So why is it? Why is aloneness such a great blessing? Because the source of all life, including yours, is, so to speak, within you. It's coming through you. It's not out there somewhere. Well, it is at the same time, for the purpose of this talk and of your life, it is within you and it comes through you. So that it is this source of your life, of your energy, which is the same as the true self, the divine presence, God, the higher power, whatever you want to call it. So because it comes through you, if you're centered in your true self, and it is this divine presence, this true self, that brings joy, happiness, and contentment in life. As it has been said by enlightened people, and as is obvious, the source of joy and happiness is from within, and it comes from divine love, from divine presence, from the true self, from the higher power, from God, whatever you want to call it. So if you're centered, you feel this joy and it radiates outwards from you, and everything is perfect, and you're not dependent on being surrounded by people, friends, family, or even pets, and so on. You're perfectly content by yourself. Now, if you're not centered in this, then you are using others as attachments, as things to hang on to, as anchors, to fulfill your happiness, to keep you happy, to keep you busy, to keep you occupied, to keep you entertained. And all this is ugly because you are using the others, whether it's people or actually even objects, as props. So that is really not mature, healthy, helpful, and spiritually, I don't want to say desirable, but it just it's not spiritually harmonious. Now this is the thing, one doesn't need to be without other people or pets or objects to be alone. It is possible to be in a marriage, to be with kids, to be with friends, and still be alone. And that is when, again, you're centered and you don't need those people to keep you entertained, occupied. You feel perfectly content with yourself, by yourself. You're perfectly happy, perfectly joyful. Whether those friends and family members are in your presence or not is secondary. The first basic thing is that you feel content and perfectly joyful just by yourself. Now, if they are in your presence, then it's the cherry on top of the cake. Then it's wonderful, but it is not a requisite. It doesn't have to be. And when you're in this state, you are not using the others as props, as attachments, as anchors. You give them complete freedom, and this gives you complete freedom to be in their presence or not. Thus, they can love you and appreciate you. They can appreciate you even more, because if you need others to keep you happy, to keep you occupied, to keep you entertained, you are using them, which has been said is ugly, and they can feel it subconsciously, sometimes even consciously, and that puts them off. Now, this putting off may be subconscious, but it still exists, and it creates resentment in you, in them, and other negative emotions, anger, resentment, God, how dare you, and so on. So again, no need to get defensive about it, because undoubtedly 99% of people, which means undoubtedly you, fall into this category of needing others around you to keep you busy and to keep you occupied and to keep you happy. Again, no need to get defensive or angry about it. That's just part of the human evolvement. It's just helpful to be aware that it is not a healthy natural state for us. Our healthy natural state is to be perfectly content from within, alone, in aloneness. Aloneness and loneliness are not the same thing. Aloneness and loneliness are not the same thing. So if the word loneliness came to your head, you can dismiss it. I'm not talking about loneliness. That is something else. It is worth it to be aware that spiritually being lonely is not possible. Spiritually, there is oneness, one could say interconnectedness. So spiritually, loneliness is impossible. Now, loneliness can be felt psychologically, emotionally, but at the same time, that's a reaction of the ego. It can be said of the out of control ego, because loneliness is not a natural feeling, natural attitude. Aloneness, on the other hand, can be, as already mentioned and hinted, can be very healthy. And for aloneness, one doesn't have to give up friends, family, vehicles or whatever other tools one may be potentially attached to, one doesn't need to give it up. It may be important if one is in such a state that one needs to walk away from all this business, from all this stuff. It may need to happen. On the other hand, it doesn't need to happen. It's just it's an inner attitude of, regardless if one is in the marketplace surrounded by friends and family or not. And what helps with this inner attitude to be independent of others, to feel the joy of life from within, regardless of the circumstances, is of course stuff like meditations, as Dr. David Hawkins said, as contemplations about the reality, about the spiritual stuff, about taking care of your health, including chiropractic and neuro-emotional NET healthcare, staying away from toxins, alcohol, coffee, drugs, smoking, asking for divine help, praying for divine help, showing kindness to all life, smiling from within, learning how to be alone, happy, joyful, and content. So this is it for this talk. If there are any questions or comments, they can be left below the video. Michael out.